Hey everyone, welcome back to Channel Name. Today, we're diving into a fascinating question that's capturing global attention. Why is China suddenly so interested in the moon? With ambitious lunar missions and increasing space exploration, China's focus on the moon raises some big questions and even bigger implications for the future. From scientific discovery to space diplomacy, there's more to China's moon mission than meets the eye. So let's break it down and see why China's lunar journey is about much more than just planting a flag. By 2045, America might no longer be the dominant force in space. Back in April 2021, the Director of National Intelligence released a report suggesting that within 30 years, another country could rival or even surpass the United States as a leading space power. And by 2030, it's likely that this nation will have achieved world-class status in nearly all space technologies. Can you guess which country we're talking about? Yes, it's China. There's good reason to believe this shift could happen. Over the last 50 years, China's economy has been catching up to the U.S., with some analysts predicting it could even surpass the American economy by 2035. While the U.S. currently leads in space spending, China is close behind, achieving remarkable progress even with a more modest budget. You may have heard that China recently landed a rover on Mars, making it only the second nation to do so. They were also the first to send a rover to the far side of the moon. But China's ambitions extend far beyond these accomplishments. So, what's next for this rising space power? What are China's long-term goals, and where do they envision their space program in the next 10, 50, or even 100 years? Let's dive into China's impressive achievements in space so far and discover where this nation might be heading next. I'm Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astrum. Today, join me as we explore China's role as America's biggest rival in the modern space race and see what the future may hold as China sets its sights on our solar system. China wasn't always a space power. When Mao Zedong founded the People's Republic of China in 1949, the country lacked the industrial strength of nations like the U.S. and the USSR. So when the Soviet Union launched the first space race in the 1950s, China's Communist Party set out to transform its largely agricultural society into an industrial one. But their ambitious Great Leap Forward turned into a severe setback. As farmers were moved from private farms to large communes, productivity dropped, resulting in widespread famine and the tragic loss of an estimated 30 to 45 million lives. China's economy actually shrank during this period, and the country's space program stalled further during the Cultural Revolution, a turbulent time in the 1960s and 1970 when Mao urged citizens to root out dissenters from society and government. Many intellectuals and scientists fell victim to this purge, stalling progress in every sector, including space. Despite these challenges, China has come a long way. Today, we'll look at the progress they've made, the ambitions driving their space program, and what their plans for the future might mean for the U.S. and the rest of the world. During this turbulent time in China's history, scientists and intellectuals were often targeted as bourgeois, facing persecution, abuse, and even death. Between the widespread famine, a struggling economy, and the suppression of knowledge, it's no wonder China's space program struggled to take off. Although the Soviet Union provided some initial support in the form of scientists and technology, China's first basic rocket, the T-7ME, didn't launch until 1960. After Chinese-Soviet relations soured, China found itself alone in figuring out ballistic missile and space technology. Fast forward to today. Following major economic reforms introduced by Mao's successor, Deng Xiaoping, in 1978, China has experienced staggering growth, rising from just 2.7% of global GDP in 1980 to 16.9% in 2023. For comparison, the U.S. share has held steady, going from 25.4% in 1980 to 26.1% in 2023. With this economic boom has come a surge in space investment, making China the world's second biggest spender in this sector and enabling some remarkable achievements. In 2004, China officially set its sights on the moon. In collaboration with the European Space Agency, ESA, China launched its first Chang'e probe in 2007. Named after the Chinese moon goddess, Chang'e 1 successfully orbited the moon and mapped its surface, achieving all of China's initial goals for lunar exploration. But this was only the beginning. China was laying the foundation for a more comprehensive exploration of our celestial neighbor. In 2013, China made a bold leap with Chang'e 3, the first Chinese probe to soft land on the moon, joining only 2 other nations with this achievement. But China wasn't just aiming to be part of the club, they wanted to make history. In 2018, China set out to attempt something unprecedented, a landing on the far side of the moon. Unlike the near side, the far side of the moon can't communicate directly with Earth, requiring a relay satellite to bridge the gap. Despite these challenges, the Chang'e 4 mission achieved a successful landing. Even more remarkable, it carried a small biosphere with seeds, fruit fly eggs, soil, and air, designed to see how life could handle lunar conditions. Amazingly, some seeds sprouted, becoming the first plants to grow on the moon, though they lasted only a day. Since then, China has continued its lunar ambitions with 2 more Chang'e missions, both successfully returning moon samples to Earth. The biosphere experiment hints at China's long-term vision for lunar exploration. After all, why experiment with growing plants on the moon unless you were considering a more permanent presence? In 2019, China officially announced plans to build a lunar research station within the next decade, inviting other countries to join them in this ambitious endeavor. So far, 13 nations and 2 organizations have signed on, including Russia, South Africa, Belarus, Pakistan, and Egypt. Sound familiar? This might sound familiar, as it closely resembles what the U.S. is doing with the Artemis Accords, uniting nations to share in the benefits of space exploration. In fact, state media often compares China's International Lunar Research Station, ILRS, with the Artemis Accords as competing projects. However, China isn't eager for them to be seen this way and has even formally invited the U.S. and Europe to participate in the ILRS. While U.S. laws, like the Wolf Amendment, currently prevent direct collaboration with China on space projects, European countries could join. The European Space Agency has collaborated with China before. The first ILRS construction missions are expected to kick off after 2028. The Wolf Amendment, passed in 2011, restricts China collaboration in space due to fears that China could benefit from American rocket technology advancements. The U.S. didn't want to risk China advancing toward destinations like the moon by leveraging U.S. technology. But China's ambitions extend beyond the moon. Like the U.S., China is aiming for planetary exploration. In February 2021, China's Tianwen-1 mission, meaning questioning the heavens, successfully entered Mars orbit. This mission included both an orbiter and a rover named Zhurong. Just a month after reaching Mars orbit, China's Zhurong rover successfully landed, making China only the second country ever to land a rover on Mars. Over the course of a year, Zhurong used its radar instruments to search for subsurface water and even had a rock-zapping camera similar to NASA's Perseverance rover to analyze Martian rock composition. But this, too, was just the beginning. China plans to return samples from Mars to Earth by 2031, about a decade ahead of NASA's own sample return mission, which is still in early development. Bringing Martian samples back to Earth could be a game-changer for scientific research, as the precision of Earth-based equipment far surpasses anything that can fit on a rover. Understanding Martian soil and materials could give a tremendous advantage to any nation planning future settlements on Mars, as they determine what resources might be sourced directly from the planet. A critical part of realizing these goals is having a powerful and reusable launch vehicle. To transport base components to the Moon or Mars, China needs a Super Heavy rocket, and they're well on their way. The Long March 9 rocket, the next major variant in China's Long March series, aims to carry payloads up to 150,000 kg to low Earth orbit. Sound familiar? That's because it's comparable to SpaceX's Starship capacity. Much like SpaceX's Starship, China's Long March 9 is designed to be a powerhouse for heavy lifting into orbit, and eventually it will be reusable. While the initial version, expected by around 2033, will only be single-use, reusability is on the horizon, and this could revolutionize China's plans for deep space construction. Currently, a typical Long March rocket costs around $3,000 per kilogram to launch, but a reusable Long March 9 could cut that to $15, essentially halving launch costs and making ambitious projects more feasible. One such project already in orbit is China's own space station, Tiangong, or Heavenly Palace. Though smaller than the International Space Station, ISS with room for 3 astronauts in its 3-module setup, compared to the ISS's capacity for 7 across 18 modules, Tiangong represents an impressive engineering achievement. Launched in 2021, with previous generations tested in 2011 and 2016, Tiangong has hosted multiple takeonaut spacewalks. It also shares orbit with China's Extension Space Telescope, which Tiangong could support as a service point for repairs. China's drive to build an independent space station partly stemmed from being excluded from the ISS due to U.S. restrictions that prevent NASA from collaborating with China on space projects, a result of concerns over potential technology transfer. For the record, however, NASA and Chinese scientists are. China's interest in space exploration isn't new. In fact, it has steadily grown since the early 2000s. With missions like Chang'e 1 through Chang'e 5, named after the Chinese moon goddess, China has demonstrated its commitment to lunar exploration. These missions aimed to understand the moon's surface and prepare for more complex operations. Each mission built on the previous one, marking significant achievements like bringing lunar samples back to Earth, which hadn't been done since the 1970s. The Chinese National Space Administration, CNSA, has laid out plans for continued exploration, with some ambitious goals that put China among the few countries with an active lunar program. But why the moon? Let's dive deeper into the reasons behind this focus. One major reason for China's moon interest is its potential as a resource-rich site. The moon holds valuable materials, such as helium-3, a rare isotope that's scarce on Earth but abundant on the lunar surface. Helium-3 has been theorized as a powerful, clean energy source for nuclear fusion, which could revolutionize energy production. If China can mine and harness these resources, it might lead to economic advantages, energy independence, and technological advancements. Helium-3 is just the start. Other elements like rare earth metals could also be key to future technology, giving China a strategic edge in critical resources. Exploring these materials requires significant infrastructure, which is why China's building up their moon program step by step. China's moon missions aren't just about scientific curiosity, they're also part of a broader strategic competition. The moon is increasingly viewed as a frontier for geopolitical influence. By investing in lunar exploration, China asserts its role as a leading space power, joining the ranks of countries like the U.S. and Russia. Space exploration is no longer just about bragging rights. It's about securing a presence in a territory that could yield important resources and serve as a launchpad for deeper space missions. China's lunar exploration signals its intent to be a dominant force in space and opens the door for possible military applications in orbit, which has sparked both curiosity and concern from other nations. For China, space exploration is also a means of boosting its scientific and technological expertise. Every lunar mission advances China's understanding of space technology, from robotics to telecommunications. Establishing a lunar base would require advancements in life support systems, energy storage, and sustainable structures, all of which could bring new capabilities back to Earth. The Chang'e program has already led to significant developments in satellite technology, remote sensing, and AI. These advancements are beneficial for China's space sector and help build national pride and global recognition as a leader in technological innovation. China's lunar ambitions are also part of its goal to create long-term lunar infrastructure for both research and potential habitation. Looking ahead, China's plans are extensive. The country has outlined goals that include building a lunar research station by the 2030 and collaborating with Russia and other international partners. The vision is to establish a sustainable human presence on the Moon, which could lead to even deeper space missions, like exploring Mars and beyond. China's planned lunar base could become a center for research and resource mining, and if they succeed, it could reshape our understanding of the Moon's role in future space exploration. The ambition behind these plans is clear. China sees the Moon as the next big step in securing its future in space, and it's investing the resources and expertise to make it happen. While China's lunar mission might seem like a solo endeavor, it's actually fostering international cooperation, particularly with Russia. The two countries have expressed interest in establishing a joint lunar base as part of the International Lunar Research Station. This collaboration not only pools resources, but strengthens diplomatic ties, especially as the U.S. continues its own Artemis program. Through partnerships, China and Russia aim to make lunar exploration a shared scientific journey, opening doors to other nations looking to participate in a cooperative lunar mission. Each lunar mission China undertakes is a chance to showcase its technical prowess. From advanced rovers to spacecraft capable of landing on the far side of the Moon, China's achievements fuel a sense of national pride. This pride is strategic. China's lunar accomplishments bolster its reputation as a technological leader, building public support and inspiring younger generations to pursue careers in science and engineering. For China, the Moon is more than a scientific objective. It's an inspirational and unifying force for its people. China's plans to establish lunar infrastructure are pivotal. They're not merely exploring the Moon, they're laying groundwork for a long-term presence. This includes building landing sites, communication systems, and habitats that can support prolonged stays. By focusing on such infrastructure, China aims to overcome the challenges of maintaining a human presence on the Moon, potentially allowing scientists to conduct in-depth studies and resource extractions more efficiently in the future. Another reason for China's Moon focus is the potential for lunar-based solar power. Solar energy harvested from the Moon's surface could be beamed back to Earth, potentially offering a new, clean energy source. Lunar solar power could overcome issues like energy availability and environmental impact. By investing in lunar infrastructure, China hopes to test and potentially perfect this technology, which, if successful, could address long-term energy needs on Earth. China's attention to the Moon's polar regions is particularly noteworthy. The poles are thought to contain substantial water ice reserves, which could support life and be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen for fuel. A sustainable water supply is essential for long-term lunar habitation and deeper space exploration, and China's research in these areas could enable a self-sustaining presence on the Moon. Welcome to Blessovia Science TV, where we take you on an exhilarating journey through the cosmos and unravel the mysteries of science. We are excited to offer you the opportunity to become a valued member of our. Leave your comment.